Guys, welcome to Box Football, and we want to have a big congratulations to Manchester City on winning their fourth Premier League title in a row, eight since their eighth Premier League title since 2012, six under Pep Guardiola, records upon records upon records, just everything. They won't stop. It's annoying at this point, but we have to give them credit. Treble last season, they could win another FA Cup and league double this season. Incredible what they're doing. And obviously, I mentioned winning four in a row, which I believe this has gone under the radar. These accomplishments that Man City are putting down are not being appreciated the way it would be celebrated at other teams. Like what people are taking this Manchester City, the greatness for granted. But when you think of Man City greatness, the first thing that comes to mind is Pep Guardiola and how he's been able to spare this Manchester City team to absolute heights that even the greatest Pep Guardiola fan couldn't believe that what he's done. Couldn't say, oh, he's gonna do this. To believe he's now six Premier League titles, Champions League. Don't know how many. I think two FA Cups right now, could be three. Yeah, he has four. He has four League Cups, Club World Cup, Super Cup. Just a ridiculous, and I mean a ridiculous amount of trophies that like this man has brought to Manchester City. Now, in this period, he's had different sort of teams. It hasn't been the same team every single year. It's been a change. It's been tactical tweaks all the time. And I think, you know what, let's do this little exercise. Instead of praising them, let me and Jack, mainly me, gonna sit down here and pick
Mainly you.
Pep Guardiola's best starting 11 as Man City manager. We did one for his all-time team with his Barcelona, Bayern, and Man City team. And to be fair, Man City players didn't get that many picks in it. Guys, could definitely go check that out. But for City fans, I'm going to pick Manchester City's best 11 under Pep Guardiola. So we're talking about from the 2006-7 season all the way up to the 2023-24 season, Jack. Do you want to, let's kick it off, Jack, with the goalkeeper?
Well, I was going to say, because again, I feel like usually the format that we do for these is we go goalkeeper and we go right back, centre backs, left back, then we kind of make our way forward. What I think I want to do is start with the no-brainers, so we can just kind of get them out of the way, give them their flowers. But then after that, we can get to a position where some are maybe a bit more contentious, and we can go from there. So, in your team, who is the right? Well, there's no other person; it has to be this person.
Three. So there's three no Brett Raiders. I was gonna say Joe Hart as the goalkeeper. I'm only playing. Obviously, it's Edison. Yeah, I was
I
gonna
was
say
gonna
Carl
say,
Walker. I was
okay,
gonna say Carl Walker
yeah.
and Kevin De Bruyne. The rest of
Okay.
it, Jack, I'm willing to have a conversation about.
Right. So those are your three. I just want to make a kind of a point here. You mentioned Joe Hart, obviously never gonna be somebody like that. Ortega, ever since he's played the odd game, has been kind of impressive, but I mean it pales in comparison to Edison's consistency and his ability. Carl Walker, I will say, Carl Walker and Pablo Zabaleta. Pablo Zabaleta had a nice career at Man City.
But
Maybe
he didn't play under Pep.
I think he did.
He
Well,
didn't
I've
play.
got here.
He
I've
had
got
one
here that
season
he
under
did.
Pep. He had one season
Yeah, I
under
was going
Pep.
to say. So, but again, Pablo Zabaleta is potentially there, but I think you're right to choose Carl Walker there. Kevin De Bruyne, I think, kind of speaks for itself. There are other midfield positions that we can potentially take up here as well, but I think De Bruyne is kind of the number one, or maybe the number two, with a guy who I'm sure is going to come up here shortly. But actually, James, let's just go there straight away. I think you know the guy I'm thinking of who might be that other midfield position, but I don't know if you would necessarily agree. For me, I know you mentioned about obviously maybe didn't play that long under Pep Guardiola, but does Yaya Toure make this team?
Unfortunately, Yaya Toure to be his top five Manchester City greatest players of all time, but he had one season, two seasons you could add maybe under Pep Guardiola. His time period is to me the Mancini and like Pellegrini sort of era. The Pep era, he had the little blitz, and then remember he came back and like scored two goals and everything was kind of made up, but he never really gelled with Guardiola. So he is definitely not in my team, unfortunately. But if I'm picking my Manchester City all-time 11, he easily walks in there. But this is the Pep 11. So no.
Right. So that other midfield spot, not the holding role, but that number 10 spot that we've got on the team here, just the number 10, not the position 10, but the number 10 shirt in this team, who's taking up that spot for you?
Oh, Jack, I am so conflicted. I personally, Jack, can we just start and just get rid of all the center backs and then like the center backs and the fullbacks
Yeah,
either,
sure.
and then because my mind is going two places with the whole midfield thing. Two center backs here, Jack. I Vincent Company was a player that came to mind, but I don't think I think his best period came with the Mancini and like Pellegrini.
Sure.
Like era. Of course, he has that iconic goal against Leicester, but I'm going to go for John Stones and Ruben Diaz over him because I believe that they've had more of an impact in Pep's 8 years as coach, especially like Ruben Diaz. John Stones has been a revelation under him. Few injuries here and there, but yeah, I would just pick them two over Vincent Company. If we're picking an all-time Man City 11, Company over both of them easily. But
Sure.
Pep's different story. Left back is a bit
So
of a difficult one for me, Jack.
let me throw Emerick Laporte at you. Let me throw Guardiola at you, Ake, Akanji. Any of these guys change your mind in the centre back position, or are you happy with those two?
I'm happy with those two.
Okay, left back. I think again, just my opinion. Don't know if you would agree. I'd say probably Man City's weakest position under Pep Guardiola. The guys that they've had in that role have been kind of good, but especially when you look over at right back and the other defenders, I think left back's always been a little bit of a let down. The likes of Zinchenko, the likes of say a Kolarov historically, and then obviously Ake and Josko Guardiola at the moment. Who for you stands out at left back? Let's not forget as well, João Cancelo
Cancelo.
was super hot for a quite a short. He burned bright for a short period of time.
Um, I'm gonna mention him because he played heavy minutes there for Manchester City. It was Fabian Delph. Also, if you
Yep.
remember in the Centurions season, he was played heavy minutes there, and he played the inverter role, Zinchenko. But I'm gonna go for Nate Nake, Jack. I feel like the impact since he's came in there, and he's kind of played as goes under the radar, does a job every single time. You mentioned Jack that treble winning team, how important he was to that. I really believe like he has that sort of Abidal sort of feeling to him where he doesn't get all the praise, but people know, but his teammates know how important he is to the team.
Benjamin Mendy doesn't get a shout for you either, James.
And Mendy could have been, honestly, Mendy could
He
have been
could have
if it
been.
wasn't for
He
his
could have
injuries and
been.
obviously him, getting a bit freaky.
What I will say, just and this was just be me. This is going to be your team, so I'm totally okay with whatever you pick. I think João Cancelo and Pep Guardiola and what they achieved over a short period of time was still very impressive and far more impressive to me than what Ake did. I think Ake is a more consistent performer, more well-rounded, better in more areas. But I think at the top, João Cancelo outperforms Ake. That would just be me, but you go ahead.
I want to put this over to the chat and everybody who are going to be comment. Ake,
Get
Jao
ours.
Cancelo. Let us know who because I'm going for Ake. Jack is Jao Cancelo. Let us know down below. I think Jack, we're moving over to go on. I'm gonna let you do
Yeah,
this.
I was going to say we can kind of take this wherever you want to take it. We can do the midfield. There's a serious conversation to be had about the two midfield spots. But
Yes.
any of the wingers, the forwards, do you want to get into the number nine conversation? Because James, as you know, we cannot replace him.
We
It's
listen. We'll get
impossible.
to
We cannot
Jack.
replace him.
Jack. We will get to that one. I'm gonna start off with his most important position, which is our number six role. Listen, the pivot player, the player who makes things happen. You know how important this is to a Pep Guardiola team. Fernandinho, when Pep first came in, was a revelation. Yeah, I felt like he lost his way a little bit, and Pep was able just to get that last bit out of him. And you've seen how important he was coming to the end of his period at Manchester City. But the guy I'm going to pick is a guy that when he first came struggled a little bit. But since that struggle, Jack, he's arguably putting on, in my opinion, an all-time performance in this position, all time, and not only in the Premier League but in world football. Rodri, who is Jack believes is the best player in the world. I believe he's the best player in his position by a country mile. I believe that you look at the records that he's been able to set. You look how important he is. I think his 50 or 69 games unbeaten as a Man City player at this moment in time in all competitions. Then when he doesn't play, City lose. They lost 3 games this season. He didn't play in any of them
It,
three. Just
what I think,
ridiculous.
what I want to say about him as well, because I know I've talked so glowingly about him and continue to do so. When it happened like once or twice in like 30 or 40 games, you go kind of like, oh, like that's kind of funny. The one time City lost a football match, Rodri was the one who didn't play. Oh, that's interesting. We're now at a point where it's happening like multiple times. And if
Hmm.
he doesn't play, their actual chances of losing actually go, oh my God, this is a serious increase, uptick in the amount of times that they are going to lose. I said it before, I'll say it again. It's not sexy, it's not cool, but the role he does, the importance to this team, unbelievable. And guys, going undefeated, talk about Bayer Leverkusen undefeated season, Arsenal undefeated season. Rodri has like 2 seasons basically where he's not lost a football match, like as in domestic league football. It's absolutely insane. Anyway, James, you go ahead.
Jack, I'm gonna have to cheat making my way up. I'm gonna have to cheat just a little bit because I find it hard to leave out David Silva. I don't, Jack. I just can't look myself in the eye to leave
Okay,
out David Silva. You know,
okay,
but I just can't leave out Ilkay Gundogan. I think his clutch factor for City. You look at the period of the treble, the period of all them, to get all four Premier League titles. His role in that, I personally,
yeah,
Kevin De Bruyne plays as the 10, and Gundogan
okay.
plays as the 8. Gundogan has to be there. I just think his clutch factor is massive. So I'm happy with the midfield of Gundogan, Silva, and Rodri. De Bruyne, Rodri. Going up to the three
I was
forwards
I was
there.
gonna say, are we gonna do the? Are we gonna do a diamond so we can sneak in an extra midfielder or no?
Uh, what I'm gonna do Guardiola's biggest wet dream. Yeah,
Okay,
and I'm gonna
false.
play midfield abundance. Now I'm gonna shout out a couple of players. I feel so bad, and this guy to me should be in there, but I'm gonna leave out Sterling. I'm gonna leave out Sane. These two, what people don't understand is that 18, 17, 18 season, 18, 19 season, go watch how much what these guys were able to do. This, listen, the speed, the dynamism, the 1v1 ability to score goals, important goals, hat tricks, just ridiculous from those two. And I find it so hard to leave out those two because how important there is. But David Silva is David Silva, and I can't build a team without putting a David Silva in there. And I'm going to mention a couple too. Foden, who I think has a great, like he's another one that I find that he goes right next to Sterling and Sane, who I find is so hard to leave him out. I'm just going to leave him out. Just
Well,
going to.
and James, if we do this video again in a year or 2 years' time, and Pep
Yes,
says sayonara, see you later, maybe we have a different conversation. But for right now, I get it. He's still young. He hasn't had the opportunity that Silva had, so I get
yeah,
it.
and he's probably played under Pep longer, but I think Silva in them 2 3 years that he was there, Jack, the influence, the way I think Pep brought another level out of David Silva when he was kind of petering off. So that's why I'm gonna ask David Silva to cheat a little bit and play on the right hand side, and play on the left hand side and like come inside. Yeah, we're going Silva crazy, Jack, because Jack, me and Jack were doing a bit of research before the player who's played the most games under Pep Guardiola for Manchester City, or I think
I I
ever,
think that's right, or at least it's
or
close, or
something
like
like
he's got
that,
the most appearance. There's something like that. Yeah.
is Bernardo Silva. And I think if you ask Guardiola if you could have 11 of just one player, it would be Bernardo Silva. Bernardo Silva is his guy, and you talk about a football, you talk about the contribution to Pep Guardiola team. Bernardo Silva's it. First season was a bit of a struggle, had moments here and there, but since then, Jack, all my days, players of the season, big moments, big performances, had the assist in the Champions League final. Just, just so much from those two. I think Bernardo. Also, I want to have a little debate right now, City fans. Yeah, because I'm putting low. I want to hear the comments. Bernardo Silva, David Silva. Comment down below which one, which one. And personally, I'm going for Bernardo Silva, but you let me know if you're Bernardo or David Silva.
So I just want to throw this comparison out as well. I think Rodri is to the number six position what Bernardo Silva is to the right wing position. I do like. There's no mistakes being made. It's don't get me wrong. He gets his goals. He gets his assists. He has the odd flashy kind of one touch, dropping it on just dropping it on his foot. But he does, James. He doesn't make mistakes. He's always a 7 or 8 out of 10. Always, every single time. Pep can rely on him. He's smart. He just totally gets it. I don't know if he's ever going to be in the conversation for best City player, best Premier League player. Ballon d'Or voting, anything of this nature. I think in terms of importance to this Man City team and Pep Guardiola's valuation of him, you can talk about De Bruyne and Rodri and all these guys. I think maybe third on that list, you'd probably be
Easily.
amazed, but Bernardo Silva's
E
probably going to be there.
Easily. I think what people look at Bernardo Silva is what he does on the ball. Jack, off the ball, he's probably the best presser in Manchester City's team. Guardiola spoke about how like Bernardo has the ability to cover double ground, almost shift his feet and get to in almost double press people at the same time. He is such a big importance to Guardiola team. You've seen in certain games when Rodri wasn't available, who played as the six, Bernardo Silva. He's popped up and played in so
Right.
many positions. In fact, I think there was a time where he could have played fullback at the time. He's that good. He's just incredible for sure. Such a technical player. He's so versatile and you can do so much stuff. So big up to him. But David Silva, Phil Foden, so unlucky not to make it, and Raheem Sterling, so unlucky not to make it, and Sane, so unlucky not to make it. Even Grealish in there could say something. But let's move on to the final part, Jack.
One thing, because that right wing position is a little contentious. I think you're right. Riyad Mahrez. I know you think.
Oh,
I
not over
know,
Bernardo
like
Silva, but I totally forgot, Jack. How can I forget?
I'm gonna, I'm gonna say that I thought he was a little overrated. Personally, I think people went a little overboard on his ability. Personally, so I agree with the Bernardo Silva pick. How close is he to nudging Bernardo Silva away for you?
No, because I think Bernardo Silva's importance is so high. But again, he falls in. I think he's over Grealish. If I'm picking my City team, he's over Grealish. He's over a lot of players, especially what he did in it, like in the Champions League. His contribution in these big Champions League nights for City were so big. But I feel like people like Sane, Sterling, just edge him, and Foden would just edge
Yeah,
him. Mate, I don't know, Jack. They all
it's
contributed for
hard.
City. It
It's
really
hard.
is. City fans, please clear up some stuff for me. Yeah, I'm only going for what I know. Like I know, you gotta let me know your feelings. But let's finish off with the
So,
number nine.
so James, most coveted position in football, the number nine, the striker, gets all the goals, gets all the girls. Gabriel Jesus, Iheanacho, Julian Alvarez, or we can have the actual conversation that we want to have. Are you going Sergio Agüero, who Pep, remember, could not replace? Or are we going for goal hungry Erling Haaland? Who takes the spot for you from Pep?
Oh, Jack. This is difficult because
It's
personally,
like Sophie's choice.
listen, honestly, personally, Jack, for me, Sergio Aguero is my guy over Erling Haaland, which is what he can do overall, Jack. But I'm gonna say this right now. His best period came under, to me, Pellegrini. He's probably scored a bit more goals there, but just his overall influence on the team was a lot more under Pellegrini and Mancini, personally, in my opinion. But when you look at what he was able to do, Guardiola with Guardiola was huge. In so many ways. But I always felt with Guardiola that he was replaceable. And like Jack, you've seen that in certain Champions League games where Gabriel Jesus would play over him.
Right.
Certain, I think his final season, like he barely could get a kick in when he still had a little bit left in the like Jack in the tank, in my opinion. To me, there was always a little bit of a power struggle between him and Guardiola and Jack. You've seen what it was like on his way out when his dad was kind of criticizing him. So as much as he scored goals there, I never felt his relationship and his overall love for Guardiola's system was there as much as an Erling Haaland. Where to me that classic meme, we cannot replace him. We cannot replace him. I mean, listen, if you,
I
I
think
don't
we
want to say it
can.
because
I think we'll be
listen,
fine.
Jack, I don't want to play because I'm gonna get in trouble by a lot of people, so I'm gonna keep my mouth shut. But
Right.
you have to pick Erling Haaland. You got all these players want to come towards the ball. Yeah, we need somebody who's gonna run. Somebody's gonna be in the box to get onto these Kevin De Bruyne overlaps and underlaps. Who's gonna make runs, these little cute runs for a Bernardo Silva or like a David Silva, like reverse passing. Yeah, just to me, just the sheer amount of goals that he scored, the fact he's two golden boots, Jack, the treble winning season, back to back titles. And Jack, even to me, I feel this season, as much as he's had injuries, the amount of big goals he scored in terms of view of games where it was going a bit rogue for City and he's popping up with the goal. I remember against Brentford, Everton, he's coming up with these big moments there at Spurs. I'm gonna go for Erling Haaland. So that is the team right there, guys.
So my three that I would just throw at you that I might make a little differently. At left back, I'd probably pick somebody like Cancelo. And then my two little changes I'd make, I'd probably, in classic Pep Guardiola fashion, I'm not saying he did this at Man City, but in Pep Guardiola fashion, I would probably go false nine. I don't know if Agüero or Haaland would make my team. I'd get one of those midfielders in there at false nine. And James, I think I'd bring in Fernandinho and Raheem Sterling. Those would probably be my other two changes. I think those two potentially deserve a little love. But
Before we wrap it up, before we wrap it up, Jack, Guardiola's been there for 8 years. What for you has been his best Manchester City team? So you're talking about, I'm going to give you, you got the Centurions, you got the domestic treble, you got the obviously the normal treble where they win all four in a row. You got the League Cup teams. What year for you was the best team that Guardiola was able to put together?
I think you have to go for the Centurion team. Even if you don't get the vibe that that's the best team, even if it doesn't feel that way, even if just it doesn't pass the eye test, I don't think it's. We worked this out the other day, right? We did some basic maths, right? 114 points is the maximum total points you can get. So that's winning every single game. To get even close to that is absolutely unbelievable in the Premier League. If you're PSG in Liga, if you're Bayern Munich in the Bundesliga, if you're Prime Juventus in Serie A, etc., then okay, I understand how you could maybe get there. In the Premier League, that is absolutely unheard of. So I personally just can't look past that team because week in, week out, with stiff competition, they were able to just keep flicking teams away and getting all those points. That for me would probably be the best team. What about you?
I'm going to go for the year after, the 18-19 team. The reason why I'm going to say that is that they got 98 points. Yeah. The Centurion team, if I remember straight, Jack, they lost to a Liverpool team 3 out of 4 times. And the one time that they beat them was in Liverpool got a man sent off and like they won 5-0. They're probably going to beat them at the Etihad anyway. But three out of
Right.
four times isn't as convincing. Yeah. The season after, Jack, they won all three domestic trophies, Jack. They lost in a dramatic fashion in the Champions League, and they could have easily went through to semi-final and then into the final. Got 98 points, and also were undefeated against Liverpool, home and away, and probably should have snagged the game at Anfield when Riyad Mahrez missed the penalty. That to me was just a complete version. Sane going crazy, Mahrez jumping in there, Sterling probably his best season under Guardiola, or like overall, just everything you want more. And plus the fact that they were able to dominate in all domestic cups too was to me the best team. But guys, let me know, what was the best team? Was it the Centurions, as Jack said, was the 18-19 domestic team for you guys, or was it the treble winning team? Let us know, guys. Greatest Manchester City team, and also, do you agree with the team that we have up here, guys? This is Box to Box Football, Jack and James, and we'll see you guys next time.